Good afternoon. My name is Tim Berry. I'm going to be facilitating the 6540 class that you guys are getting ready to start. And wanted to give a little bit of background information and sort of give an introduction to myself. I have to apologize. It's not the highest quality video here. I'm using my computer to do it. And perhaps you can already figure out that this is not something that I do on a regular basis. In fact, I'm an adjunct instructor for Harding. And I live here in Searcy with my wife and my daughter, who's a freshman at Harding this year, and I work professionally for Microsoft. Talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I am super excited about the opportunity to work with you. And I do think it's important that you sort of get a little bit of an understanding about who I am and sort of what I'm trying to accomplish with this class. Um, my wife and I just celebrated our 30th anniversary, and we have lived in a lot of places. I was born in Texas, lived all over various different parts of Texas, lived in Florida, lived in Connecticut, lived in Georgia, lived in New Mexico. And so, I've had the pleasure and opportunity to experience a lot of different cultures in a lot of different areas as far as the country is concerned. And we have about 5 years ago, a little 5.5 years ago now, we made the decision to move to, uh, and we are here for several reasons. My daughter at the time was going into eighth grade, and we wanted to get her into Harding Academy. She wanted to go to Harding, and so ultimately, I would like to transition away from the corporate world to teaching full time, and so that's when I started building some relationships with some of the folks there in the Harding in School of Business, and so that's what I'm doing. And I've taught this class about 3 times. I believe this will be the fourth time online, but it's been a couple of years now. I have to go back and look. About 2 to 3 years since I taught it online. I have taught it on the ground once as well. It has changed since I taught it before in terms of the formats, somewhat similar, but it's a little different. And so full disclosure, I very well probably don't know as much about. In fact, I know I don't know as much about what you guys are doing and how you go about doing it in some of the classes. So if there's some normal stuff that you normally expect and you're not seeing it from me, then ask the question. Because I want to make sure that I get the experience as a quality experience as possible for you. And so let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I work for Microsoft. I have worked for them just a little over 19 years, and prior to that, have done a number of different things. Uh, I have been a product manager, and I've also been a regional sales manager, been a corporate product manager, and I have been a general manager of an electronics distributor and helped run executive trains technical education training centers, and had my own business for a while. So I've done a lot of different things over the years, but a little over 19 years ago, I went to work for Microsoft. I suspect this will be the last place that I work as far as a corporate's concerned from a career perspective, and it's been a really really good place for me. I've done a number of different things at Microsoft. I actually was originally hired in to work on the anti-piracy element. Microsoft, as you obviously understand, is a software company, and we have a lot of people who are steal the software, and it's not just the actually stealing the software as you might know it. It actually is thinking about different channels and is it misused. So we make a product that's available for education as an example, and corporations may wind up using it. Microsoft made this decision, the marketing decision, to make it easy for customers to deploy our products, and basically we in essence live on a trust system, and so it's sort of leveraging, Ronald Reagan's old philosophy. And I know most of you probably don't know who Ronald Reagan was. Maybe some of you are still around and old enough to know who Reagan was, but he had a concept called trust but verify. And so in essence, because customers, and especially I focused primarily on corporate customers, they had the ability to deploy whatever they want. They would create standard images and they'd push things out, and they didn't always have a good control over their software assets. And so myself and my team would go in, and we would talk to them about how do we make sure that they have the right licenses for what they're using in their environment. Part of that process was to actually understand, um, get tools and build capabilities both directly from Microsoft as well as through partners that help customers understand what was in their deployment or in their environment. And now, as over the last several years, we started sort of transitioning to the cloud, and I live that every day. And so if you have interest in that, happy to have that conversation with you as well. But we got really good at understanding what was running in the customer's environment. So and we morphed our product in essence to how do we actually help the customer understand how do they get their product from on-prem, from the servers that are running on their data centers and data centers they own, or in a colo data center, if you're in the industry, you understand what that is, up into the cloud, and whether it's Microsoft's cloud, or which is what I'm trying to sell and my team's trying to sell. But Amazon and Microsoft are the predominant cloud providers today. Google and IBM and Oracle, and HP provide cloud, but it's fairly uh, from a market share position. Amazon and Microsoft are the dominant players from a corporate perspective, anyway. So I've been doing that, like I say, for a little over 19 years now, and not exactly sure how long I'm going to continue to do it, but sometime I would suspect no more than 4 or 5 years anyway, and maybe sooner than that. And happy to help you sort of walk through and understand sort of the industry there. If you have an interest in that, happy to just reach out and let me know, and we can certainly do that. From an education perspective, I have my undergraduate degree is in computer science. I started in was supposed to go to Harding, wound up not going to Harding, and because it was too expensive for me at the time, but I wound up going to Texas Tech for $4 a credit hour. It's a little different than Harding, and at the time that I went, and yes, we had computers, but they were big mainframes at the time, and so I started off as a mechanical engineer, didn't like the math, went from there to geography, and didn't like licking rocks, trying to figure out what they were, and so I was looking around for another something that interested me, and I still remember to this day the time that I had a visiting instructor. It wasn't even a professor. It wasn't even an adjunct. It was just somebody, literally is classified as an instructor, in a lady, and she was teaching a class around computer programming, and for some reason the light went off in my brain as terms of what that was, and how you could do it, and how you could manipulate it, and what you could do with it, and it became very easy. And so from that point forward, I wound up getting my degree in computer science, and from the division of the University of Texas, huge Longhorn and fan, and so when I came out from that, I had actually been for IBM for about the last year and a half to 2 years of my college career as a marketing sales associate, and so I had been applied for and been accepted into University of Texas at Austin's MBA program. At the time, didn't realize how big a deal that could have been in my life, and how big an impact that could have been in my life. Probably from a personal perspective, my family. I was the first person that graduated from college since my great great grandfather graduated from Transylvania Medical School in Lexington, Kentucky in 1848, and ran off during the Civil War, and was a Civil War doctor, and wound up after the Civil War going to Texas, and so my family wound up not having access to college, being sort of independent in workers, blue collar, and so we anyway. I wound up having an offer from Texas Instruments to go to work as a product manager in their facility in Midland, Texas, and thought $26,000 a year was a lot of money at the time, and I guess it was, at the time. And so instead of going to UT Austin and getting that MBA program, I wound up going to work. Went from there to work in a corporate in different philosophies. But anyway, so I used my undergraduate in computer science. Uh, Several years later, I don't remember exactly the number of years later, I wound up going and starting work on a master's. Still to this day, remember the first paper that I had to write in my first master's class, and thinking, can I really do this? And that was a Master of Arts. I wound up getting a Master of Arts in Organizational Management from the University of Phoenix. I followed that up with a Master of Science in MIS from the University of South Florida. And then about 10 years ago, or maybe a little more than 10 years ago, I started working on my doctorate. I have a DBA in marketing from Argosy University. Took me 6 years, 2 months, and 20 days to finish it while I was working. Not that I counted. And so and my thesis is focused on how do we help, how do we sort of track and create a viral effect in a marketing campaign, and how would we track that through, and happy to have that conversation with anyone as well. But I have been committed to education for my whole career. I love the classroom. I literally can remember being, as early as the junior high anyway, telling people that I wanted to be a college professor. That was what my career aspirations were at the time. And so anyway, so I have a pretty vast array of sales and marketing type experience, and as well as management and leadership experience, and look forward to working with you guys. And as far as the class is concerned, I think it's a good class. It's a pretty foundational class from a marketing and sales perspective, but it's important. There's some principles, to marketing, especially that, in a master's program that you would want to understand, because it really goes into making sure that you have your good clarity around what the product is that you're trying to do. And many times, if you don't have good clarity around what the product is, and why customers would want to buy it, and what's the value proposition to those customers, then you're going to have a hard time selling it. If you're going to have a hard time selling it, then you're going to have a hard time making your top line revenue number. And if you have a hard time making your top line revenue number, then you're going to have a hard time making your bottom line profitability number and staying in business. And so it's all interconnected. I think this is a really good course in terms of sort of setting the foundation. And I'm candidly consistently surprised that more people don't go into corporate sales. It can be a very lucrative profession, and it's candidly a lot of fun. And so you really, you're typically not stuck behind a desk. I'm talking to you and making this recording from my home office in Searcy here. But last week I was in Chicago. This week I was in San Francisco. Next week I'll be in Dallas. 2 weeks I'll be in Detroit. So I mean, it's the kind of thing that if you enjoy being out, if you enjoy sitting down with customers and helping to understand what their needs are and what their business objectives are, and then trying to help map that to whatever the product is that you're selling, it can be a lot of fun. I mean, there's stress in it. There's stress in every job, but I do feel like that for people that are oriented towards sales, it can be a really, really great career, and something that I'd love to have more conversations with you. But from a class perspective, I'm as far as what I want you to do is learn. And what I want to do is have an exchange of ideas. And so what I want to make sure you do is to think, do the work. And when it comes to, I'm not going to drill you and on did you have the exact right formatting of the papers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm going to attempt to do that, but I don't do this for a living like some of the other professors do. And so my request to you is just, if you're going to use something from a source, reference it. It doesn't have, and then be consistent in how you're documenting the references. And again, I'm not gonna dock you if you put a period in the wrong place or a comma in the wrong place or whatever. I probably wouldn't even know that you did that, honestly. But I don't want you to misrepresent that you're using someone else's materials and not appropriately citing it. But again, I want you to have fun. I want you to learn, and this is going to be something that's going to hopefully be a good experience for all of us. And my commitment to you is that I'll log in every day. I'll try to stay on top of whatever the materials are and whatever the expectations are. Just again, in full disclosure, I'm sort of learning my way through this process. I'm going to try to do my best to do an excellent job at it, and try to help you. But if I'm not giving you something or not doing something that you need, please let me know. I want to encourage you that if you want to reach out to me at, directly, tim.barry@microsoft.com. 813-382-4870 is my cell phone. Send me an email, shoot me a text, and so happy to have that conversation. Again, hope you have a great time. I hope this is a great experience, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.